How you doing? Mr. DJ back counting down WBAM survey the week of November 15th, 1972. We are at number 5, down the 2 notches from number 3. The Spinners, I'll Be Around. The Spinners, they go back. They were with Motown in the 60s into up to about 1971, somewhere in there, 72. They had a minor hit with Motown, I'll Always Love You. That was back in the summer of 65, barely made top 40. And then they had a much bigger hit, a song that was produced by Stevie Wonder, It's a Shame, back in the summer of 1970. That one went to number 14 for the Spinners. But the thing about the Spinners were they were a third-tier Motown group. Motown didn't pour the resources into the Spinners like they did with the Four Tops, Temptations, especially the Supremes. The Spinners, they left Motown, they signed with Atlantic Records in 1970, somewhere around 1971. To make a long story short, and it's still going to be a rather long story, so bear with me, they teamed up with Tom Bell, the producer, Tom Bell. You see, Tom Bell produced the Stylistics. He produced the Delphonics. He produced that sweet string sound of the Stylistics. And the problem was Tom Bell feared that he was going to be typecast as a producer of all these sweet songs, the strings and the choruses and all that. He wanted something to produce he wanted to produce a band or produce some songs that had a somewhat more grittier approach. Thus, he decided to team up with the Spinners. He was also a fan of the Spinners. Tom Bell remembered the first record, the hit record by the Spinners, and it was called That's What Girls Are Made For. That was back in 1961 when they were with the Tri-Pi record label. And now here's the thing about the Spinners. Atlantic Records did not want to pour a whole lot of money into the Spinners. They didn't have enough money allocated to make a full album by the Spinners. They had enough money to make 4 singles, 4 songs by the Spinners. Tom Bell took the Spinners to the recording studio. It was the famed Sigma Sound Studios in Philadelphia. He took them there. The date was June the 12th, 1972. They cut 4 songs over a few days. I'm not sure how long it took, but I'd say maybe a few days. It was in June of 72. Tom Bell, he came up with a simple melody, a very simple melody. It was called I'll Be Around. And he brought in a whole bunch of session musicians for these sessions. He brought in a marimba player, a bass player, a conga player, a drum player. There was a guy who was directing the strings that would be placed on this record. And when Tom Bell showed the session musicians his simple melody to I'll Be Around, there were no lyrics, just a melody. The musicians were like, "You got to be kidding! This is too simple, man. This is like ABC." But once they started playing around with the melody, they enjoyed it a bit more. Now here comes the lyricist. Tom Bell needed a lyricist. He went through a couple of lyricists, but they weren't available, including Bunny Sigler and a very prolific R&B folk songwriter back in the early 70s or late 60s, early 70s. Her name was Linda Creed. But he came across a high school pal of his. His name was Phil Hurt. And here's the thing. Tom Bell asked Phil Hurt, "Can you write lyrics without changing the melody? This has got to be tight. All the oohs and ahs, it's got to fit into this melody that I wrote. This simple melody. Can you do it?" And Tom Bell took Phil Hurt into his office, and Tom Bell sang in the melody, or played in the melody, to I'll Be Around. Phil Hurt came up with the lyrics. And there you go. History's made right there. The A side of this record was supposed to be How Can I Let You Get Away? That's how Atlantic did it. The A side, How Can I Let You Get Away, and I'll Be Around was the B side. And the radio stations preferred the B side, and I'll Be Around. Big hit, for first big hit off the Atlantic record label for the Spinners. And here it is at number 5 on WBAM's playlist.